Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TechRaptor podcast. I'm Robert Scarpanito, your features editor.
Andrew Rutten, editor-in-chief.
Andrew Stretch, not the lost editor.
Whoa.
Christian Buckley, social lead.
Hi, hello. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm happy to be here.
Yes. You might recognize Christian from some of our other, auxiliary kind of like show type things that we do. Like I think we did the Game Awards one, back during the Game Awards. But welcome to the show. You have replaced Rutledge. How does it feel?
We're having one of our first-time listener, long-time listener, first-time caller. It's just that Chris is legally required to listen.
Yes, I'm over on the TikTok. I'm the one clipping out these jokers every week.
He's the one that's got to appeal to you kids out there, the Zoomers. With your dabbing and your Fortnite.
Is that what you still think? What else do you think Zoomers do?
They got their wheelie shoes. They're all smoking pot somewhere.
Chris is the one that makes sure that Otten doesn't do any of his favorite Fortnite dances on the TikToks.
Right.
They're all on the TikTok.
That's the thing. Every one of our recordings, you don't know this, but there is a solid hour of like flossing and dabbing.
That's
Christian
what the kids
cuts
do.
out every week.
All of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a backup on my hard drive where I just, if it's a slow day, I'll just throw it up on the background.
It's in the folder labeled blackmail.
I mean, we all know there's worse things that I could be blackmailed with.
That's true.
It's true. You did once discover Fortnite, which I'm really happy that you've done that.
I did. I brought it to the masses.
You did, yeah. No one would play Fortnite without you.
No,
so thank you for that.
Of course.
Thank you for your service.
All that effort they were putting into it too, just it wasn't going anywhere. But now, it's paying off for them.
Yeah, thank God. You single-handedly saved Epic. This week, we're going to chat a lot about the Nintendo Direct that happened last week. Stretch, are you okay?
Just chaotic. Absolutely fucking chaos.
Yeah, there was a big Nintendo Direct last week. So that's going to be a majority of what we're going to talk about. And in the spirit of that, I kind of want to ask you all a question here off at the top. So we saw, what's that game? Samba de Amiga, Party Central. Game's coming out where you shake the Joy-Cons like maracas to the beat. It's a rhythm game, right? And that made me start thinking, what other rhythm games would you guys want to see where you use the Joy-Cons and mimic another instrument? Like what instrument mimicry would you like to see from the Joy-Cons in the future?
I mean, we've got to get a port of Trombone Hero, right?
Oh,
that would be perfect. Yeah.
I think this is an interesting question for you to ask us when we just established like a podcast or two ago that we all know nothing about fucking music except you.
Yes. Okay, but you know how instruments are played. You've seen a person play an instrument in your life.
I've seen a mouth on a thing and the fingers are moving.
Right.
You guys remember the E3 demo of Wii Music?
I do actually.
They got all the developers on the stage with the Wiimotes and like Miyamoto up there like pretending to play the bassoon out of a Wiimote or something.
Imagine that with Joy-Cons, because it has an IR sensor, so it can like sense where your tongue movements may be.
Actually, this may be one of the games that has the best HD Rumble implementation.
It's true.
Sure.
Oh yeah. Fuck Ice Cube in the
beats.
glass. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of instruments where you like punch things, like maybe like a gong or I'm going somewhere with it. Because the action of punching something. Because we all just play Hi-Fi Rush, right? We all love that game.
Right.
I know me and Stretch do at least.
I love that game. Absolutely love it.
Incredible game. But it uses rhythm and music in an unconventional way where it's like, okay, you're playing a combat game. I saw somebody be like, what if they made it like a rhythm punch out? So like I'm trying to figure out a way to like work drums into that or something. That would be cool.
Is this ARMS 2? Are we making ARMS 2?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I feel like percussion's a really like open spot for like any drums, any xylophone.
Yeah.
I could see a ratchet working.
And after seeing people play Punch Out blindfolded, just like listening to the music and understanding the pattern of the of the enemies, I would argue that the original Punch-Out is a rhythm game.
Sure.
Would you say it's the first rhythm game, perhaps?
Probably.
Hmm.
I don't think
I
that
bet
much.
somebody could argue Pong. Somebody could.
I guess.
Not me, but somebody could.
Somebody out there could. Not us. Not any of us.
If you want to,
Yeah.
by all means.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm excited to see a bunch of people look silly and play maracas with their Joy-Cons. I feel like that's going to be a lot of fun. But before we dive...
There's just going to be a lot of people look like they're jerking off because they're doing it wrong. Right?
So let's talk about the UK.
I play No More Heroes.
I'm just saying.
Let's talk about the UK and their Competition and Markets Authority saying that the Microsoft potential acquisition of Activision-Blizzard could, quote unquote, hurt the gamers. Could be bad.
That's right.
It could be bad for competition, and that Microsoft would find it commercially beneficial to restrict availability of major video games like Call of Duty and also Call of Duty on other cloud systems and consoles.
It's such a weird fucking discussion to be having.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely Microsoft. I know that you've got a whole suite of business analysts, all of the data at your fingertips, but maybe this isn't a good deal. Like, no, shut up. It's so crazy that no one is looking at like King, at like Candy Crush and all of that as well. If people actually cared about, the money side of it, then they would be looking at King, but all anyone is talking about is Call of Duty.
Well, I think it's because Call of Duty is emblematic of the console space, right? Like, no one's going to argue that when Xbox owns Candy Crush, they're like, it's only on Android now. Fuck iPhone.
Only on Windows Phone. Let's bring it back.
Windows Phone is back, pre-installed with Candy Crush. But yeah, like no one's really looking at that because I think console exclusivity, phone system exclusivity just isn't really a thing that people have talked about. Not that Microsoft couldn't try, but I don't see that succeeding.
Yeah. And I think it's a good point because I think a lot of people do just not consider the mobile space as part of the gaming world, where it's like it actually is like the biggest moneymaker. Just about. It's like got the biggest piece of the pie. So, and King is the biggest player by far, I think.
You say it's the king of the space.
It is. Outside of, the people that are providing the app stores themselves. They're not making games usually. But I don't know. Yeah, that would be a more compelling argument to be had, I think. Sony's not interested in it because they don't do anything in that space hardly. They do some, but it's not in any huge way.
Yeah. Yeah, but as of now, I think a majority of the focus is on Call of Duty.
It's all Call of Duty all the time.
Which is
I imagine also just because like you have Sony being the other pillar of the console space, like really pushing a lot of these legislations to like look at it from their perspective as well. Like they don't care about King, like you said. So like it's a less sexy thing to talk about in the news. Like Call of Duty is the biggest moneymaker in games. It's like, okay, well, so is Candy Crush, but like nobody cares about that. So I think that is the harder thing to push for and fight for in all these, airing out court documents. It's like, well, it's COD. COD's the reason that this is a big holdup.
Right. And I mean, Sony is probably the biggest group out there that's against, the acquisition. And I think the reason Call of Duty is just a big, tent pole, let's focus our fire on that, is because they don't, like, Sony doesn't have a Candy Crush competitor or anything, or anything that would really compete in the space King is in. Not that I can think of, at least. I see Stretch's thinking too. Like I was trying to think of it too, right? Just like what's a big Sony?
They had that Uncharted Temple Run clone, right? That lasted for a bit.
Yeah, there is that, I guess. But I think it's easier for them to say, oh, like Call of Duty is a game that Sony can understand because Sony has competitors to Call of Duty, like Destiny.
Sony does, yeah. Sony has Destiny.
Here's something I found an article from August 2022, so just a few months ago, that when Sony purchased Savage Games Studios and reaffirmed their plans to create more mobile experiences for iOS and Android. Savage Games Studios has made.
I believe they were new. I think they just like formed
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
They're joining a new Sony PlayStation Studios mobile division.
Yeah. So who knows? Maybe in the next couple years we'll see Sony competing in that space, but I don't know if it's gonna dethrone what King has. You know,
I mean,
like regardless if it's acquired.
The benefit PlayStation does have, as they've been pushing everywhere, and
PlayStation Advantage.
The PlayStation Advantage, if you will,
Right.
is that IP recognition, right? And before we recorded, we were talking about how Last of Us is like growing in viewership every week. So when they come out with that Cordyceps Match 3 game, King's just got candy, you know? But
Right. Whereas Sony has some fun guy.
Exactly.
Quicker Crush.
But yeah, it's very silly that this is still. I can't believe it's still going on. I can't believe this is like new stuff.
And it's funny when they talk about like Call of Duty sales, which it does sell a lot. It's for being a yearly franchise, it sells a lot, like 15, 20 million or something like that a year. And then it's always funny because they know Nintendo's never brought up in any of these, and all of their first party stuff very casually sells more than that every time. Every time. They all just blow it out of the fucking water. It's not even close.
I know. Yeah, it was like there was that story of like, oh yeah, God of War sold 11 million in just a little bit of time. You know, it's like Pokemon sold 20 in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So, it's like, okay.
Yeah, comparing anything to Pokemon is just unfucking fair though.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like the difference people are seeing is that like you buy Pokemon once. Well, I mean, maybe twice if you're a loser, but you buy it once and that's it. And like, there's no battle pass, there's no recurring like, you know, you got to buy that skin, got to buy that microtransaction, got to buy that loot box, right? Whereas Call of Duty is sure you can pay $60 up front, or I guess 70 now up front to play the campaign if you want and the multiplayer. But then the battle royale's free, and then you just battle pass that shit. And I think to these bigger companies, that's the bigger, like they see that as a bigger money maker.
Yeah. You know? Well, I think part of it is that they know Call of Duty is going to sell probably around this amount every year. And if you remember, Call of Duty was really a Microsoft thing before it would be at all their E3 shows and all their showcases. But then suddenly the more popular console was the PlayStation console. And where did it start showing up? At all the Sony stuff.
Right.
So it's whoever's got the most out there. And they know that there's some people that are just Call of Duty or casual, whatever. They're just playing a couple of games and one of them might be Call of Duty. And if they have the console that has it, that's what people are going to get.
Yeah,
like it hasn't been as big of a deal because it's been on multiple platforms, but I think that's largely what they're thinking is like, oh shit, we have a bunch of people that they may have a PlayStation, but they play like Call of Duty and maybe 2 other things, and none of them are Sony exclusives.
Yeah, right. We've also got to think that, you know, Microsoft has also signed an agreement with Nintendo to put it to put Call of Duty on the Switch for the next 10 years, which, you know, I still believe that they're just going to do a cloud version and then just run it through xCloud. And, you know, you buy the $60 chip that gives you access, the keys to the Golden Kingdom, and it lets you stream xCloud games to your Nintendo Switch,
which is hilarious. It's hilarious that Nintendo just be like getting side benefits. Like, we didn't even ask for this. This is just thanks, buddy. Like cool. Like the company that easily makes probably per employer, like how much money they invest versus how much money they make, like comparatively, probably makes the most. Maybe not, you know, the quantity wise, like the biggest number, but in terms of how much money they spend, they probably get the most bang for their buck. And they're the ones that getting the benefit of the deal.
Yeah, I saw a really great meme template earlier today, like talking about how one of the UK things was like, well, you could just like sell off or like partition Call of Duty and Activision, all these things.
Divest yourself from that,
yeah. And it was like that still from like The Office where it's like young Michael Scott when he has like the long hair, he's like shaking hands awkwardly with his boss, and it was like that was Nintendo benefiting from Call of Duty, and the other one was just Microsoft like shaking his hand.
That's what it feels like Nintendo just standing by and just raking it in, saying nothing. as far as I know, they haven't really said
I don't
anything.
think they've said anything. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
No.
And I think like the other thing I think about too with this acquisition is that, I mean, like you said, Stray, that Xbox wants to bring it to Nintendo, but also there's just kind of this weird inherent assumption that the second it becomes official that Microsoft owns Activision-Blizzard, they're just going to cut off all Call of Duty access to those Sony ponies. And it's like, I don't think they would. I mean, sure, there is like they've done it with the Bethesda games, like now Starfield is an exclusive, and that's like kind of a big deal. But Starfield is not Minecraft. Call of Duty is closer to Minecraft. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way they're going to cut off like
I think Phil said as much.
Yeah, he
did
said
Spencer say that they're not doing it at least for a while? Like he said, there's no plans to do that at all.
But even beyond that, just like financially speaking, Xbox would be losing money if they were like, PlayStation, they're not getting it anymore.
Yeah, well, another thing too, like within that Bethesda deal is like one of the, at least from what I have read, like one of the stronger moneymakers from Bethesda is Elder Scrolls Online, and that's still getting support on PlayStation. Like, where, like, I understand the fear, like you said, of the ponies being afraid, but like, yeah, you can only trust it at face value, and who's to say what happens when new leadership comes in? But like, yeah, Minecraft is still everywhere. ESO is still everywhere, getting expansions. So is Fallout 76. The quality, who's to say? But they're still supporting him on PlayStation. So
yeah, well, I think part of it is that now we're relatively far into a generation where I could see come next gen, whenever that will be. They start talking. It's like, all right, you have to buy into our ecosystem now for sure. You're already installed into this other one, so we'll make money off you that way. But now you can only get whatever it might be on the new whatever Xbox fucking name they come up with.
The Xbox Z launching with Modern Warfare 2-3.
I mean, even that's kind of weird because of the heading that like xCloud has. That like we were talking about at Hi-Fi Rush, that's not on Xbox One, but I played it on my Xbox One and I just streamed it to my console.
That's how you play. How was that?
It was fine.
The latency?
I played some of it on PC and I played some of it on Xbox One, just because while it was installing on my PC, I could just start streaming it directly to my Xbox One, and then the cloud save just carried over. But it's for those next gen games. It's like it's not a complete lockout that it'll be like, this new Call of Duty is going to be on the Xbox Series 2 X. But it's like, well, you can still just stream it to your current gen console, which is weird.
Yeah, I mean, this is the second major like governmental body, right, that has expressed not support for the acquisition, right, where they're a little bit skeptical and curious that it will lead to
the third.
Is it the third? Because there's
the FTC and the EU and now the UK.
I thought the EU did not express concern.
I thought they had.
I mean, I think Sony is expressing concern to everyone who will listen.
Yeah, because that was another thing I was thinking about too. Like, just PlayStation has a European division, so like they are probably pushing hard there as well. Like it is Xbox, Microsoft, the American company. Like Japan probably really doesn't care that much. Like when you talk about like the Nintendo side of it, and then Europe, it's like, well, PlayStation has a European branch, so I mean, have some people to support.
From like a year and a half ago, when all of that news came out of Brazil, because none of the court stuff gets withheld in Brazil. So we got to see like all of the statements from all of the companies, all of the major players, EA, Ubisoft, like everyone was there, and Sony was the only one who said anything negative.
I mean, they're very directly in competition, right?
Funny
I mean,
that,
if any of them,
for sure.
Yeah.
I think if EA was selling their own console, they might be in direct competition. They might say something.
Right.
Sony's the only one that also sells a console.
Yeah, I bet you if we lived in a world where there was a Sega Genesis Series S, out there, Sega would totally be
I don't know about this.
up in arms. But yeah, I mean, for now, I think we just have to keep sitting here and waiting to figure out if the acquisition is going to go through, because it seems to be going through so many governmental body checks.
I think it will be going through. They
really
just
think
got
so?
a posture. That's all it
There's
is.
a deadline, isn't there? Like this summer, I think.
Yes, maybe.
I don't know. I think that's just been like the estimated time when stuff will be done.
Right.
Or maybe that's when the FTC inquiry's got to be done or something. I don't know. In the US, I'm not positive, but I don't expect it to not happen. It's just a lot of noise has got to be made. And Sony's got to try their best, because I mean, it probably, maybe not now, but maybe further down the line, it probably will cost them a decent amount of money to lose the kind of relationship they had before.
Right.
There's an entire Wikipedia article on the proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard.
I'm sure
by
there is.
Microsoft.
Probably huge.
It's pretty big.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what is it? $69 billion will get you.
Yeah. A Wikipedia page. That's what we need to tell Rut.
Yeah. 69 billion bucks. That's what we need to do. Yeah. I don't know. I'm curious if by this time next year, if Auden, you'll be right, that we can say Call of Duty is an Xbox franchise.
I think so.
Yeah. You really think so?
Yeah.
I just want more Spyro games, guys. Come on.
Yeah, I'm in it for Crash.
Crash is changing teams. It's going green.
It is exciting that there's a higher chance of Microsoft like going after these kind of things, that Activision has just been like, you're okay to be dead now. We don't need you anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the logistics are here, but I remember Phil was like, we've reached out like our potential with the back compat stuff, but like if they're getting all these Activision contracts, can you get like the old Tony Hawk's on there? Can you get like Spider-Man with Shadows on there?
Is always going to be a soundtrack issue. Licensing.
It's always that screws it.
But they got Microsoft money. Yeah,
that's true.
It's true. Just throw another $12 billion at the problem.
Yeah, they could also just be like, yeah, we're gonna rip out the original soundtrack and we're just gonna put in the Halo theme song. Like, let's roll. You get Banjo-Kazooie covers in the Halo soundtrack. Enjoy skateboarding.
Now that sounds like my kind of video game. Yeah. Well, I think let's talk about the red elephant in the room. Let's talk about Nintendo, because while Xbox and Sony are fighting over this Call of Duty thing, Nintendo just dropped a direct last week that was about 40 minutes long. It was pretty big, and this is hot off the heels of them also saying like they've sold 122 million units of the Switch, which I think makes it the third best-selling console device thing, only beaten by like the DS and the PS2. Yeah.
Wow, it beat the Wii.
It did beat the Wii.
Not just beat it; it's like quite a ways ahead of it.
Past it,
yeah.
Yes, that means everyone's gonna have Nintendo Switch Sports. That'll be the new.
Is it gonna be like the Wii, or if people just gonna have like 3 Switches sitting around the house? Have you ever noticed that? Like, I know multiple people that are not gaming people that have like three Wiis just around.
I mean, I would. Yeah, like I would believe even more like a justification to own multiple Switches, especially like if you're a family household with like 3 kids, 3 Switches, right?
Definitely.
Easy.
Yeah.
And then one or 2 for the parents, right? Like, done.
Yeah.
The ability to dock a Switch makes it such a great like family console to just like, I'm like, my brother wants to play the Switch on the TV. Okay, unplug mine, keep going. And it's just it's so nice. Such a good mechanic of it.
Too bad it's so fucking hard to get another dock. Nintendo, you assholes.
Yeah, it's like what, $80-$90 for a dock?
No, it's like impossible to get one.
That's not like some weird third-party Switch.
No, that's what I'm.
It's easier to get a second Switch than it is to justify purchasing a second dock for $80.
Yeah.
Right. So buy a second Switch, throw out the Joy-Con and the screen, and just use the dock. There you go.
Genuinely though, I was looking at that this morning. I was like, how much did the Switch tablets go for? Because like if I could just get an eventual Zelda OLED and then keep my dock, I'm gonna be smooth sailing for another 4 years of this console.
Because that's how long Nintendo will keep supporting it, probably, right? At this point.
Yep.
Yeah. You remember when rumors of the Switch Pro, Switch 4K was like the hottest thing, and now everyone's just like, well, that's just not gonna happen.
To be fair, it feels like that started in 2018, like the year after, and then was every year after. It's like, no, this is the year though. This is it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, don't worry, guys. 2023. This is the year where we're gonna see 4K.
The Switch is 6 years old almost.
Yeah.
I mean,
Crazy.
with the Steam Deck out now, whatever Nintendo comes out with as an updated $300 price point Switch sequel is gonna be underpowered, and people are just gonna complain.
Well, it's going to be underpowered, but it's also going to come out with Mario Odyssey 2, and no one's going to
Yeah.
complain about that.
And
Won't find me complaining.
I haven't seen a Steam Deck in person. I know it doesn't have an OLED though.
It does
No
not.
screen on that.
No,
That's
the screen is just okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the big one, Tears of the Kingdom. Got another big trailer, but the big news is it's $70 now, not $60. $70 plus tax.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. I'm still gonna buy that.
I mean,
Yeah, it's like
I can't be
I
mad.
think all of us are here like, yep, like sunk 200 hours into the first game. $70, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's them following the trend, right? Because I think a lot of other companies have been bumping their prices up to 70, which is a mixture of inflation and also it's a new generation, right? We're 3 years into the new generation, but it's a good time as any to raise prices.
I saw an interesting thing that someone on Reddit posted, and I didn't do any background research into it. So I'm just going to repeat what I said here.
Sweet.
And hopefully it will
a
be
true
accurate.
game journalist.
Yes. Well, word on the street is that the original Breath of the Wild was a $60 release in Canada when Switch games are normally like $50. So I think that this seemed to be for the Canadians, they would be less surprised because they've already seen this happen once before with a singular game. In a comment that Nintendo gave today, they said that no $70 will not be the status quo going forward, but based on their case by case evaluation, they have determined that this is a game that they would sell for $70.
Yeah.
Like Pikmin pre-orders went up, and that's 60. So
right.
And I feel like Nintendo this gen has explored the scale more than like the others have, at least in recent memory. Because I know like that the Wario Switch game, WarioWare was 50. I think Switch Sports was 40. There's a bunch of weird Kirby games that are $20, $15.
Metroid Prime is 40. The remaster.
Sure, yeah. So I get it, but.
Well, I mean, it's obviously like, well, we can get away. People are going to pay for Zelda.
That too.
That's it. It's like people are going to pay this for Zelda.
People will pay this for Mario. Like I think
I'm
those
surprised
are
that they shot so low, to be honest.
Yeah, those are the two for sure. $70.
I'm worried about Pokemon down the line.
Hey, I'd buy Tears of the Kingdom for $100. Nintendo, fucking do it.
We're just
Don't listen to this man.
Delete that part.
Yeah. This man has no concept of money.
Yeah, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Pokemon Gen 10 is $140 for the real fans.
I think that they would keep it pretty much the same because it's such a wide scope of people that buy that game.
It's also they also just brought back the Nintendo vouchers. Two Switch games for $100, and the new $70 price point game is voucher compatible. So it's like it's so weird that they're like, hey, this game that would normally be $60, it's $70, but you can buy it and another game for effectively $50. $50 each.
Yeah, but that's like a loyalty program thing too. I think you can make that argument for like you keep coming to Nintendo to buy these games.
Yeah.
Very like you might catch people who would only pay 70 or people who would spend another $30 because I can get another game.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's also completely avoiding people who are just going to get the collector's edition and always were going to, which is I think $130. Like I'm considering getting it. I managed to get the Amazon pre-order in for 60 like an hour before they took it down, but I still might get that collector's edition instead. So like
That collector's edition is lame. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, what's in the collector's edition on?
There's a pin set and a little art book and a
Like a
steel
steel
book,
poster.
and who gives a shit?
Does it come with the amiibo? I forget.
Nope.
No.
Ah, it's separate. Of
That's an
course.
extra $16, please.
People
Yeah.
have already been doing the deep dives into the trailer and stuff and noticing that like all of the different robots and stuff that Link is interacting with or using, or even like the leaked art for what seems to be a flamethrower weapon, all have like a certain symbol on it, and that symbol is part of the pin set and what that will mean. And So-
That means you have to buy the pin set
Anyway.
to unlock the full potential of by putting it up to the amiibo scanner.
that would, yeah. What if the pins are all amiibos? That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, that
No, it
wouldn't be bad.
It wouldn't be cool at all.
I mean,
That's
in
$100
that trailer,
and then 50 amiibos that you need to get to complete the game. Nintendo do it.
Yeah.
in the trailer, I know they were focusing a lot on like the vehicle element and what seems like you're building things like nuts and bolts Banjo-Kazooie style. But
Yes,
what if these pins are amiibo? And that's how you get the vehicle pieces. You got to scan them in.
Otherwise, you have to walk around like a pedestrian.
It's like
Yes.
Fortnite with extra
Like a
steps.
loser.
Right. The pins are V-Bucks, Z-Bucks, if you will.
Well, I
Sure,
mean,
yes.
he's building stuff like in Fortnite in the world.
Right. The only game where there's building.
Well,
Yeah. No, I have been seeing the nuts and bolts comparisons. I've also seen a meme of them calling it Top Gear of the Kingdom, which is great. But I am very curious about that weird ass, like it's just a flat thing with four wheels. You know what I mean? It's such a weird vehicle. Like I think there's also, I saw this like there's like a shot from The Simpsons from years ago where Homer built a bed car where he just like sticks four wheels to the side of a mattress, and it's like that's what this is.
Yeah.
It's just
the
such a weird.
Simpsons really
thing.
have done everything, haven't
They
they?
really have, yeah.
Well, a lot of like, especially the hovercraft that we saw, people were doing that shit in the original game. That you
Yeah.
could stack two
With
of
the
the mine
balloons.
carts, and then magnesis the bottom mine cart, and it would allow you to just float and fly
Yeah.
up.
Mhm.
I've seen some great videos of people being like, they'll show the cutscene of Rivali saying, you can't get up to that divine beast on your own. Let me help you. And it's like, all right, here's 10 ways that I'm going to get up to that divine beast on my own. Let's go.
Right. What's up, gamers? Smash the subscribe button. Here's the 10 ways. Yeah.
Yep.
It's definitely where Breath of the Wild shined the most, is giving people all these tools to do crazy shit. And hopefully that's all that is. Like they showed two simple machines, and hopefully people can just get fucking wild.
Yeah.
Do whatever they want.
Right.
I want
People are gonna be
to
like-
build a mech.
Yes.
Final fight.
here's how
Clam
I
again
built-
versus mech.
There you go. Link doesn't
Here's
even
how I
do
built
shit.
a battle bot, and the battle bot will kill Ganon in one hit. Link's going to sit back here cooking.
That's
Let's
right.
go.
Right. Well, the cooking is very integral to fueling the battle bot. It's the key
Mm.
part of the strategy, But yeah, I don't think I can say enough how much I think a lot of people are looking forward to this game. Breath of the Wild, just it was like the Elden Ring of its time, if we can call it that.
That's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. I hate that you said that so much. So it's like when everybody was all like, "This is the Dark Souls of whatever." Like, fuck off.
No, I mean,
It's
I
the
remember
same
Breath
thing.
of the Wild was the Dark Souls of Zelda, and then Elden Ring was
I
the
hate it.
Breath of the Wild of Dark Souls. And
Yes,
now,
exactly. It's all come full circle.
It is because remember it's Breath of the Wild moment, how that became a phrase for a while.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like-
a lot of games have ripped that off.
Oh, I know, but it's just
Yeah.
I don't know. That was so dumb. Don't do that again. I did not like that.
I want to get that on a T-shirt now.
I didn't know.
Yeah. Here's a question for the team: do we want weapon durability to be a thing still?
Yes.
Ooh,
Immediate yes.
I would say no.
Why yes and why no?
I am very picky with weapons in games. Like if you give me a sword, that's all I'm using the entire game.
Right.
So, like Skyrim, never touched a battle axe, But with Breath of the Wild, I did think it added a little bit of urgency, and it did feel a bit more of like, yeah, I'm in this like hostile environment, and I don't know why the complaint happens a lot. Like, sure, it's maybe annoying that you're like, oh, if I am out of weapons, I have to go find one. But like I was constantly stacked on weapons and like my entire playthrough of that game. And the fact that you get like the final hit when it breaks can like insta kill someone, that's sick. So like I think that's cool. Also the fact that like the Master Sword means more because it has that, it does have a recharge, which is stupid, but if it was invulnerable, and I know it is if you like get the DLC and upgrade it, but like that I think adds a lot more to the weight of the Master Sword being this in story legendary weapon. So
did you see the concept art that they released today of the Master Sword?
Oh no! Is there a reason to be upset? I can't tell what emotion I'm supposed to feel based on you asking.
They've got the hilt of it, and then just a part of the blade, and then it's just corrupted and broken away.
Oh,
so
nice.
it's probably going to get totaled in the opening cutscene of the game, and then a lot of the game is going to be a mad quest to bring it
Put
back
it together.
That's true, but Link also has a messed up arm. If the messed up sword also has powers, Dark Boy powers, you know.
That's true.
Like, what if it shot beams out when you're at full health?
We've never seen that before in Zelda.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm always 50-50 with the durability thing.
Yeah, like I get it.
It's annoying, but also I've never thrown away more swords and spears and everything in like fun ways in any game besides this. You know, just like treating my swords as a projectile instead of a sword. It is kind of fun that it makes you rethink the way you use your weapons, you know. Yeah,
it made it really nice to get each of those 3 most powerful elemental swords and like hang them up nicely in your house in the village. A good feeling.
Yeah, I feel that. But Tears of the Kingdom, that'll be the big thing. Still coming May 12th. It's going to be $70.
Yeah. Hopefully, there's actual like dungeons this time, because that was the one biggest thing about Breath of the Wild. All the Divine Beast dungeons fucking sucked.
Yeah,
they were lame as hell. I did not enjoy a single one of them.
I think one thing I'm kind of looking forward to more in this too, and it's kind of hard to gauge because the trailers are like so tight, right? But it feels like there's going to be more kind of overt storytelling in this, or like just more things are going to feel like they happen in the throughout the game. Whereas I feel like most of Breath of the Wild was you're doing 4 things to make the one thing easier, and you're going to see a bunch of cutscenes that happen before your time. Well, before you, the players, time in the game.
Definitely the big downside of the format. That there was just been no way to have better done that. Well, there probably would have been, but it was hard.
Right. It just kind of felt like you didn't really have much of an impact on the world. You just kind of experienced the world as it is, which I mean, it wasn't bad because it gave you this playground, right? But now I'm curious to see where are they going to take that from here? Like, where's Tears of the Kingdom going to go?
Do you guys are you surprised at how little was shown? Because I personally, I'm in on the game, like no matter what. So like I'm good. I really don't need much else. Like I like the vibe they have, but it was
I could have seen nothing and I would buy buying it.
They could have just they could have done Metroid Prime 4 and just been like Tears of the Kingdom. It's still coming, and that's it. And
because I mean I know I've seen the conversation of like it feels like we still don't know this game's hook, outside of the themes and story.
I think I know this game's hook. It's Breath of the Wild again.
Yeah,
it's again, plus also you're in the sky more. There's shit in the sky. Like I think that the hook was pretty well done with the very first time they showed it, where they have Link just falling through the air and shit. Like you're like, oh shit, like that's where they're going up with it.
Yeah. I think that makes me wonder if there are dungeons though, because I'm with you. I would love to see dungeons in this game.
I love to see something. Yeah, that was my biggest disappointment, because like all the shrines are neat. Like they're neat little things here and there. Some were some were cool. But it was just like there's so fucking many of them. It'd be nice to have something that was just a meaty like thing to go through, like a more classic Zelda experience kind of thing. Also on top of the cool ass shit you could do in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, because it felt like the shrines were like trying to take the essence of the dungeons, but kind
Just
of
in bite-sized
separate it.
pieces. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that way, there's always like a little mini dungeon just around the
Mhm.
corner somewhere. But I
I get it for sure, but it was like, oh man, so it felt like the Divine Beast should have been like a much better
Yeah.
experience
Mhm.
because they're a super cool idea, this walking around or flying, whatever it is, this machine, and I don't know, they just were like, oh, that wasn't all that much really.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I mean, historically, we've seen an entire dungeon inside a Deku tree. Seen an entire dungeon inside a giant fish. They could have dropped us in and had a very traditional Zelda
Yeah.
dungeon experience there.
Yeah.
Or they could even like turn the dungeon on its head a bit too, where it's like maybe like this cluster of sky islands is a dungeon, even though it's not in a cave or
Yeah.
anything. It's
Yeah.
just
I mean, I just replayed Twilight Princess, which is like big dungeons. There's I think like 7 in there. But they do have that like floating sky temple like that. But I don't know, like I want them in the game so badly. I just feel like for how big of a component those are, we'd probably have like seen a little more to imply
Maybe.
that they're in there by now. But
Maybe. I
Maybe,
wonder how
but-
hard it is to design a dungeon like that when you have such free forming like controls
Yeah.
for Breath of the Wild that can really, because I'm sure we've all seen the highlights of people just doing crazy shit in the shrine puzzles. So I'm sure they're like, how the fuck are we gonna, I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, arguably, I feel like that's always been a part of Zelda. Like even going back to the older games, like watch any like GDQ run of a Zelda game,
True.
like, and they don't play the dungeons, they break them, or just
Yeah.
don't even do that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
They're really cool though.
yes, agreed. But I mean, who knows? They could do, because I think with Breath of the Wild, they did like that one treehouse. I think it was the E3 of 2016, where it was just like 6 hours, right? Just 6 hours straight of like.
I'm
here's
sure
the
there'll be
thing.
some. I wouldn't be surprised to have
Yeah.
another little thing just about Zelda right before it comes out, like in April.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
when you see
Like
that
a,
only
here's some changes showcase.
Right.
Get you hype
Well,
again.
Let's talk about the 38 other minutes of the Nintendo Direct. One I want to one I would want to highlight while we're just on the topic of like this is a $70 game is Etrian Odyssey. They announced a like a collection remaster of the first 3 Etrian Odyssey games, which are these Nintendo DS dungeon crawlers where you draw the map on the touchscreen, which is really neat. And they're going to release each one individually for $40, or you can buy a pack of 3 for $80. So,
I didn't hear the individually for 40 thing before. That's wild.
yeah.
So you're telling me that I can buy 3 for the price of 2? That's a deal.
Right. I mean, and I'm telling you too that, hey, if you can spend $70 in Breath of the Wild 2 and get 200 hours out of it, imagine how many hours you can get out of this one. It's $10 more.
A lot, but it's
Yeah.
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 The math
Yeah.
makes.
I don't know.
Nintendo pricing is a bit scattershot at the moment. I wonder if they're like internally testing some stuff.
Well, this
Maybe.
is Atlas, all right?
This is Atlas. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
they are like Nintendo exclusives. Like they've never come out on another console, but
I don't know.
yeah, it does hit different, especially considering like at the time those DS games were what, $35, 30, 35, like
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, they're even more expensive now that they're remastered. And then you're buying them on a Switch.
Yeah, and remastered not in the way of like there's not really seemingly from what I saw there's not really a difference, maybe graphically.
Yeah,
somewhat.
like I think they included high res versions of the anime cutouts for your characters, which okay.
Yes, I guess.
Yeah, and I think the textures of some of the the enemies are higher res, but yeah, I mean this isn't like a Final Fantasy VII remake situation or anything.
Well, that's a remake, not a remaster.
Yeah, it's not a remake. Yeah, it's just a remaster. Yeah.
For the Persona 3 fans, did it look like there was more effort in this than there was for the 3 port we just got in terms of a remaster?
About the same.
Yeah, I haven't played the remaster.
It is,
so I don't know.
Well,
it is the game on DS, but now it is on Switch.
Gotcha.
There's probably some AI, or not AI upscaling. There's probably just some upscaling. They've ran every texture through an upscaler, and they have programmed a way for the touchscreen aspect where you like draw the map in as you're going to be added.
Mm-hmm.
Which I haven't played any of the Etrian Odyssey games, but drawing the map as you go through sounds like the most laborious fucking thing.
So I played them when I was younger because the first game came out 16 years ago, if you want to feel old. And I think it works really well on the DS because it's just the way you're holding that thing, right? And you've always got the stylus is right there, right? So I think it works really well in that system. And the future ones, they added the auto map thing anyway. So like if you want to get rid of that tedium, right?
Yeah.
But I think it gave you this sort of agency where, so the shape of the dungeon is what it is. But then if you find a chest, you know, you can drag the chest icon over, or if you find something that you want to like mark yourself, you can, you know, you can come up with your own kind of code, which that felt kind of cool to like, you know, do your own legend on the maps. But
if you ran into a treasure chest, why wouldn't you just open the treasure chest, take what's inside, and then you just locked?
Like if it's a locked treasure chest, then you know, like you find a key later or something, you know where to go back to it.
Okay,
I'd be curious to know what they think. Well, I guess this doesn't. I didn't see. Are they coming out with physical version of these? Is it all digital?
Probably all digital.
Probably all digital. I was curious. I just searched it real quick when the last Etrian Odyssey game was, and it's been a while.
Yeah, Nexus was the last one.
It's
on
like
the
4 years ago. 4 or 5 years ago. And it's like, so I'm wondering like what made them think, people are itching for this. Like I could see if they just had a new one come out that sold pretty well or received really well, like, maybe people want to revisit the series, but there has been no movement in a while. So I'm just very curious whether like, this is the move for this series right now. I don't know. It's strange.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to see a new Etrian Odyssey, like one built from the ground up for the Switch, because I think you'd need to treat it differently. They're obviously treating this one differently, right? Where the touch screen is just part of the UI, so it looks real kind of cluttered.
Yeah.
But
is there any combat in this game or anything, or what's the point of party members?
Turn-based combat.
It's a turn-based thing.
Yeah, it's turn-based combat, 5 party members.
Because I'm looking at the website, and there's going to be an Etrian Odyssey HD character portrait DLC set.
DLC?
You had to pay for it?
No. So they've got the nice portraits that's in the base game, but you can get the description is adds 2 Atlas themed character portraits to your party: Joker from Persona 5 Royale and Ringo from Soul Hackers 2. These portraits can only be accessed in the first game. But is it like not that any of the they're not putting Joker in the game? They're just letting you access his portrait.
PNG.
You can look at him.
So when you create a character, there's like 9 classes or whatever, and then each class has 4 portraits. But like the portrait doesn't change what the character can do.
It's just
they're probably just gonna say like, you can choose the 4 ones for that class, or just also be Joker. Fuck it, you know.
Because this is like old school, and like there's not like a character model like on the screen. You see the enemies. Yeah, and it's your portrait of your person. So it's just you could have Joker represent your guy.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and they've got
fucking A.
for Etrian Odyssey 2, they've got the Demi Fiend from SMT3 and Teddy from Persona 4 Golden.
I've always wanted to play as Teddy in my Etrian Odyssey video game.
And for Etrian Odyssey 3, they've got Nahobino from SMT5 and Aegis from Persona 3 Portable. The robot girl.
Fucking love it. Yep.
Wow.
Just character portraits. And
I love how Atlas like kind of only has one really, really big franchise. Let's just put Persona in fucking everything.
Yeah.
There's also more character portraits to come.
I'm sure there are. But we joke about this stuff. This might be one of those things that just goes fucking gangbusters in Japan, because I know they're big on that kind of thing. And it's like, that's really all this is for.
They're kind of like skins from Fortnite. But
wait,
yeah.
I mean,
so Darth Vader's
he's
coming
in now.
I think the other thing to consider is the Switch feels like it's port city for the next year.
Yes.
So if Atlas thinks they can make any money off of this, and it was with a little bit of work, like I
don't know. It's kind of always been port city. Remember, like when the Switch came out, that was like the number one question. Hey, is there a port coming to Switch? Everywhere?
Can we talk about how the Splatoon's DLC is getting the hub zone from the first game ported to it?
What?
Did we? Okay, we were joking about because we watched it yesterday, but did it actually add anything else that like maybe they didn't spell out in the presentation?
I remember them explicitly like being like, here's, you can go back to Inkopolis. And then as they pulled up, like, you can go shopping, and they showed the store interface and like, oh, but don't worry, anything sold here will also be sold in, name of the other place. And it's like, oh, so it's not even like you come here for
exactly.
You come here for like exclusive, Splatoon's 1 themed gear. No, it's just it's a new hub world.
Yeah, it says this is for folks who want to change the scenery from Splatsville. All the weapons and gear will be the same, so on around whichever feels more like home. So it's literally nothing.
At first, because I'm not a Splatoon guy, like I tried some of the free stuff and it seems fun. But
it's okay. There's only 12 of them. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we wouldn't expect
dozens of us.
I always hear great things about the campaigns, and it's like there's some like fun little like
they're pretty cool
mechanics that are like, hey, if you liked some stuff with Sunshine, you might like that platforming here, and like,
boy,
that was always intriguing. I was like, oh, they're bringing the 1 campaign to 3. That's cool. It's like, no, it's literally just a hub area.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
amazing.
we joke, but didn't Splatoon 3 sell like a lot?
Oh yeah,
like
a shit ton. They're incredibly popular.
Yes,
yeah,
no,
they're super popular exclusive numbers.
Yes. So, I mean, there's probably a sizable group of people who are like, oh yeah, I fucking like splash from the nostalgia, man. I love it,
But then there was also that weird side order thing.
Yeah, I didn't know
really
what
cool.
I didn't know what to think of that.
I don't know.
I did see
Splatoon.
Yeah, I saw somebody compare it to like try to justify like some excitement for it, like a Splatoon fan. I'm forgetting who this was, but they were like,
poor
Pokemon fans, imagine if they brought Kanto back, and that's the first part of this expansion.
That's not the case at all.
Imagine if Kanto was Nier Automata, and I was like, what? That's what this is?
That's not Matt Kanto. It's like, hey, Pallet Town's back. Here you go, boys.
No, I feel like it would
go in those 3 buildings.
No, it'd be like now you can swap out the Pokemon Center that you load into to look like the older Pokemon Center. You can still only heal in it.
That's right.
But it can look like the older ones now. Like that's what this.
It'll be the older ones. You can't do the trading from the old ones though, because that room didn't exist.
New retro Pokemon. It sells all the same things.
Yeah.
Yes, but there's a weird NPC who stands facing the wall in the back corner.
Yes.
It's like, what are you?
What a bizarre thing. Like, I guess it's more than a character portrait.
Well, I mean, wait till they add Joker to Splatoon.
Yeah, I mean, okay, but I guess this is part of the expansion pass. So I guess it's just the first piece of whatever that's coming. You're not paying just for this thing, right?
Yeah, you do get the side order stuff when the side order comes out.
Yes,
but I think they just said like later.
Yeah, but the way Nintendo does their expansions is like, it's not like you're just paying for this, but you have to pay for this for the other thing. Like,
right. Like you can't just buy side order.
Can I not get the new hub world and just pay less for the story DLC?
You're gonna get the hub world and you're gonna like it.
Yes, Daddy Nintendo.
You can get Splatoon 3 plus the expansion pass for $85 right now.
Sold.
Wow, that's cheaper than purchasing Etrian Odyssey 3 times.
For $5 more, you get. Just think of it, for $5, you're getting Inkopolis.
Yeah, and a side order.
When you're comparing it to the Etrian Odyssey,
I can't get over that name. It's such a weird name.
It's a great name.
Is it?
I like it.
I think it's a fun name.
All right.
I think it'd
Nintendo
be
also.
funner if they were all like other like here's the value meal DLC, or like
here's the large fries. Here's the large fries.
That was the code name for the Inkopolis expansion.
Yeah. They shadow dropped Metroid Prime. That's a thing. So
remastered. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But that's their hi-fi rush of the show.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's neat. I think for people that haven't played it, it's still to this day one of the best reviewed games of all time. Like if you go back and look at reviews, and there's a reason for it. Like it's a weird thing where like all the Metroid stuff they did a super good job of translating it to first person.
Right.
Weirdly, you wouldn't think. Yeah, and in 3D. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This was like the Mario 64 of that franchise.
I am glad they updated
like the Elden Ring
controls.
of Metroid.
Shut the fuck up.
It's the Metroid of Metroidvanias.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, Metroid Prime Remastered is one of the like I plan on definitely picking that up at some point. It's just a
Yeah, I
matter
bought
of-
it.
Yeah, because I played the original when I was a kid, but I was also too dumb to understand how to like play it right.
Yeah,
You know,
been there. You know.
Yeah.
It was difficult. I mean, like if you because I was talking with Stretch because he hasn't played it yesterday, and it's like the controls for that originally not the hot. Like it's if you're comparing it to what we know of FPS controls to be now, it's like those fucking sucked.
That's the crazy thing is this is the third time that this game has been released, but this is the first time that it has twin stick controls.
Finally,
Which is it's 2023. What?
Yeah, because it was on the GameCube where it had that the C
The
stick,
weird lock-on thing, yeah.
With that, and
which you
then
can
a
replicate.
Wii-
I did test that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can
So-
play it the original way.
Yeah,
with the GameCube adapter controller, it works.
Perfect.
And then the Wii, they use motion, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank God it'll feel kind of modern-y in that way.
Yeah, it's probably the best way to play it.
Most likely.
Like graphics aside, it's probably now the best way to play that game.
Yeah, I was in it for
looks-
maybe
Go ahead.
like a minute, and the twin stick did feel good. Like I just popped in to see what it looked like last night, and it was like, oh yeah, this feels like a shooter. So
Thank God.
Yeah, and
That
it
is
looked good, too.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, they looked all right.
Which bodes well for Call of Duty coming to Nintendo Switch next year.
Metroid Prime walked so Soap could run. That's what we're going for here, right?
And I'm sure we'll see 2 and 3 at some point in the ramp up to Metroid Prime 4
yeah,
eventually.
Yeah, eventually, whenever that.
Whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't all that long ago that they rebooted it. Really.
Yeah.
If they're treating this as like a big game, it's still got a ways to go probably.
For sure. But Pikmin 4, that's coming. Any Pikmin fans here?
Never played it. It looked neat. I like the look of it a lot.
Yeah, it looks cute. I can't say I've never played it, so I don't really understand. Like I don't get it as a concept.
it's a survival game, I believe.
Oh yeah.
Like survival.
Like
management,
genuinely, it's like a weird take on it, but I think it is.
Yeah.
Oh okay.
Yeah, that you like need to like farm up and rescue more Pikmin, and then you go out on adventures, and then you don't want them to be dying.
Imagine you're Joel, but you have a herd of Ellies.
Yeah.
That's
my understanding is like you throw your children at stuff. Literally throw them.
Yes.
to solve
Overlord, was
problems.
that the game? It was like a
Yeah.
almost tower defense-y game, Overlord, that you were like a demon that could command around like an army of hellspawns. It's very similar to that. In case you've played hit Xbox 360 game Overlord.
So Pikmin or Hellspawn.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh,
Have you seen
Yeah,
it?
they're like fish. They feel nothing, so you don't have to feel bad about it when you.
Yeah,
good.
they're not sentient.
You're flush them.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think I don't remember what animal it was, but I remember hearing the trailer that they were like, "And is that a dog? Find out more about it." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah."
Well,
Looked like a
it
dog.
was apparently some big reveal thing in the first game where they, you get to the end of it, and much like Planet of the Apes, it's like, oh, it was Earth all along. So now they're just kind of doubling down even further, and with the enhanced graphics, it's like you're now in a kid's playground.
Yeah.
So this is like a Tokyo Jungle spinoff. If anyone remembers that PS4 exclusive,
I never played it, but I do remember it.
I believe.
was it?
Uh,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, it was
I
PS3.
I
Yeah.
had a
I think
friend
was
that
older
got-
than that.
Yeah, I had a friend that got really into it when it hit the PlayStation Now, but I never played it myself.
Right.
So anyway, the Pikmin are like the zombies from World War Z. That you just control them. They just throw their bodies at stuff.
They're like the freakers from Days Gone.
There you go.
Jeez, I didn't
Nobody played
expect-
that game.
I did not
They're
expect.
like The Last of Us from Last of Us.
I'm surprised that Pikmin is having so many like edgy comparisons. I thought it was just this childish like sacrifice your children to fire or something kind of thing.
I mean, that apparently the game gets like dark at night, like literally and.
Well, I mean, I think
figuratively.
you'll find that most games get kind of dark at night. Normally, you need to have some kind of
Skyrim
light
gets dark at
source.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of dark, so Octopath 2, that's coming later this month. There's a
It's
demo
very
out.
dark.
It kind of is a little dark, yeah. Darker than I
Mm.
thought it would be. I played a bit of the demo. I don't know, maybe I blocked out my memories of the first game because I didn't enjoy it as much, but the stories that I've seen so far are like pretty like more adult than I would expect from a Nintendo console exclusive video game. Like I played through the Thief's chapter 1, and her whole thing is, it's your classic like betrayal, and you're backstabbed by people that you thought would be your best friend. But the whole idea is like she's in this weird cult thing where the leader is a dude and a woman, and they force everyone to call them mother and father and whip them if they're bad. And it's kind of like psychologically pretty fucked up.
Wow.
I think I've seen that porno.
Oh yeah, the Octopath.
Just the one.
Yeah,
just the one.
Well, I was gonna say I feel like because I only played the demo of Octopath 1, and I remember like the dancer was like one of the ones you could do, and her
she's
thing was
like a
kind of fucked
prostitute,
up
right?
too.
Yeah, or there's
like she was getting like slapped around by like the enemy of that town, like like in a dramatic JRPG fashion where it's like you slap and then she flies across the screen like in a little sprite. Like it was also surprising me when I played that demo back in 2017. But
right now that you say that, that kind of like I remember that being a little darker than I thought. And then I got to the point where I ran into, because like then they let you free, right? Chapter 1, and then it's like you can roam the world and you find the other 7 travelers to find their stories. So I ran up to the old man, where his story is that his house was on fire, his wife and kids died, and because he can do magic, everyone blames him for the fire. So he goes to jail for 5 years for allegedly killing his wife and kid. And every day, I mean, he's kind of an edgelord. I'm getting real like Sasuke vibes whenever he talks, but he's like, I've been here 1,859 days, and every day I learn something new to get out, like that sort of thing. Which, again, it's darker than I thought it would be for Nintendo. Which, okay, cool. But it was also the moment where I realized I don't think Octopath 2 is going to be it for me, because I didn't like the first, because it's 8 very separate stories. Like there's no real connection. And when I was the thief and I ran into him, like the way he talks to you is very like you could have been any character. It's very generic. You turn into a silent protagonist kind of. It's just so weird and jarring to be like, you built up the thief, you built her up to be this character I'm supposed to be invested in, and then all of a sudden she's a blank slate because now it's his turn to be the story.
It does have the same issue that, and like I played and bounced off the original so quickly as well. It has the same issue that the story of Breath of the Wild had, but at least in Breath of the Wild, with like you can go anywhere, there is still only one link. But if you can't, showcase that we have this amazing story with 8 amazing deep characters, but not have any way to write them to reasonably interact with one another.
They're only deep when you're playing as them specifically.
Yeah. And that's real shame to hear that this second one sounds like it's going to be as the first.
I think I've come around to, I don't think it's fair to describe it as I think it is what it is. Like it's a game that's what it's trying to do. Its mission is to be, here's 8 very separate stories. I think I'm just wanting something different from it, and I don't think I'm going to get that in the sequel. And that's totally fine, because I know there are a lot of other RPG nerds out there who will get a lot out of this, because it does execute very well on like classic turn-based RPG stuff. And it's a decent world, and you got the cool HD 2D stuff going on, so it'll have its fans like the first game.
I guess marketing it as a game with here are 8 separate stories of people, like it nails that, absolutely nails that. Here are 8 storylines for you to play. But when everyone parties up, and like partying up is part of the gameplay, if not the narrative. I think I'm in the same boat as you. It leaves me wanting.
Yeah, I will say it is very funny that they added like a day and nighttime mechanic where you do is hit ZR and it just turns day and night. It's real silly. But
does it get dark at night?
It does get dark at night and in the story. But there's you can do different actions in town, and so the thief, like during the day, she can steal from people. And during the night, she just fucking incapacitates people. So it's very funny to kind of roam around town and just like knock out everyone, because you can just do that as long as you're a high enough level, which if you're talking your average townspeople, like, I mean, right? So that's funny.
I'm not surprised at all to hear you say any of that.
That it's funny?
No, just the general vibe of what you took away from it.
Yeah.
Kind of felt it was gonna be that. My biggest problem was just the moment to moment writing itself. Even I did not like that. A lot of the dialogue was. Whew.
It was, yeah. I am liking this one better so far in terms of that moment to moment writing, but I also started Octopath 1 with the Huntress type character where she was like we have Shakespeare at home kind of.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of them were like that, actually.
That's true. Yeah.
So that's unfortunate to hear too, because I like the pitch of Octopath, and I was hoping that this one would because I remember that was the common complaint. It's like there's no real connection. It kind of like sucks whatever is there. And like hearing here, it's not like that much of an improvement. I'm like, okay, well, if it was like kind of feigned just because that's what people wanted, would it be better to see something like I skipped Live Alive last year, and that's the same sort of like individual vignettes. And if that doesn't like muddy the waters with trying to connect things, then maybe I'd just play that instead. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Live Alive, what's different with that though is that each storyline is got like wildly different mechanics going on. Like it does. If you think about it in the context of when it came out, it's doing a lot of really cool, innovative, and crazy ideas. Dude, they don't all work, but they're trying new cool shit. That like even playing it now is like, oh shit, that's actually pretty clever. Even though I haven't seen anybody try that since. So that's what it's really cool is that we talked about when it came out on here, but it was really cool, like historical, like just thing to play through. I would call it like the best game in the world, but as someone who appreciates games, like to think about design of games and stuff, it does a lot of cool stuff, particularly when you think about when it did originally come out. It's pretty neat.
Right. And my understanding of Live Alive too, isn't it like here's the first like vignette, first character, and then you finish that, and then here's the next one, right? It's
you can choose whichever one you want, and then it's you just finish. Yeah, you finish this story, you go to that person. Yeah,
right.
Because it takes place over millennia, like
right. Because Octopath is like here's 1/4 of a character story, then run around, go to the next character, get their 1/4, and then you keep going and going. As opposed to like, here's the entire first character story or something.
I could be wrong, but I think that the director of Octopath is originally the Live Alive guy. Like that was, he's wanted to do this for a long time. I could be wrong. He's at least involved.
Do we think that there will be a character in Octopath 2 that allows you to multiply the experience of your battle by 100?
That would be nice, but...
So that's what I ended up doing a whole lot with the dancer for like the bit that I did play. Just like get to a boss fight, save beforehand, spam until I get the experience times 100, beat the boss, and you've now got enough levels to get through the next chunk of the story.
Right. I don't know. I haven't played enough with like the characters. I mean, you only get like 3 hours with the demo. There's no way you're going to see all of them unless you keep like replaying it, I guess, if you wanted to. I don't know. I mean, it's delivering on what fans of Octopath 1 would probably want, so can't fault a sequel for doing that, I think.
Yeah.
And if I remember right, I think Octopath 1 did eventually have like when you go to the bar, there's very quick, short snippets between two characters, which that didn't do it for me, but you know.
And there were definitely characters that seemed to have stories built together. For some reason, I am definitely thinking that like the barbarian and the dancer like kind of had more of a relationship together, like they might have been childhood friends or something.
Maybe I can't comment. I think
I
don't know.
I think that there was some, just not a lot.
I was wrong. Live Alive has nothing to do with Octopath Traveler. That was a different guy.
Very different video games.
Classic games journalist.
What was I thinking he was from? Anyway.
Is there are there anything else from the Switch Directs, Nintendo Direct that sparks joy in anyone?
New Dontnod game's pretty cool.
Yeah, it did look neat. I think it comes out in June. No specific date yet, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, looks like it could be cool. And I like the art style of it. And I think it's Lena Raine who's doing the music.
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah. She does like the recent Minecraft music and Celeste.
Awesome. Yeah. Celeste soundtrack.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was. Yeah, they did. I remember them calling out Celeste. That's right.
Yep. Yeah. That that Dead Cells Return to Castlevania looks cool. It's coming out
Those look pretty
fairly
cool.
soon. It's nice to see a Konami video game kind of come out of the woodworks.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah. They're working on them.
Is it?
well,
Konami was like, sure.
Castlevania, we're not doing anything with that. You can use it.
Yeah.
I know whoever gave like that thumbs up, that's like the most work that Konami has done on a video game in a while. So
Hey, they're
They're
doing all the
doing-
Silent Hill stuff.
Yeah,
Come
they're
on.
doing Silent Hill.
Come
They're
on.
doing Silent Hill. Yeah.
I was glad to see Tron pop up because I'm really looking forward to that from Bithell, and
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be super later in the year, but they said no, it's April and it's coming to Switch and PC at
Yeah.
launch. So
Should
happy
be
about that.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
Subserver Circular is pretty neat, and it seems like that but bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the last two for me were that I'm looking forward to playing another Rayman game, and by Rayman I mean Disney's Illusion Island.
Oh yeah, that platformer. I
Yeah.
think we just lost
just-
Christian on the stream, but
That's
Interesting.
fine. He'll
Yeah.
hop back in.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we
Disney
haven't had a
Illusion.
Rayman game in so long, and like that style's totally nailed it, and it looks like this one's
Mhm.
going to be something similar.
Yeah, I mean, it looks
Interesting.
kind of interesting. It
Okay.
reminded me, like, it kind of felt very geared towards a younger audience. I mean, obviously, right, with Mickey
sure.
and all that, but like,
Yeah.
even the gameplay looked kind of
Looked kinda
simple,
neat.
not in a bad way, right? But
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it's not going to be the Elden Ring of adventure platformers.
right. What could be though, you know?
The what's interesting that you bring up about like Rayman is that it's funny that there hasn't been one because famously Ubisoft just drops franchises and moves on to. They don't ever just make the same thing over and over again. Why would they do that?
Yeah, no, that would be ridiculous.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that we got like the 3 Rayman games or the 2 Rayman games like in that style that worked
Yeah.
really well. And then the closest we've gotten to new Rayman was the tease that he's going to be part of DLC for the latest Mario Rabbids game.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it's
Bizarre.
crazy that the Rabbids have more staying power now than Rayman, kind of.
Yeah.
Just kind of sad.
That's so weird. Those games are really well received, and I would assume they sold decently. I don't know.
I don't know. Hi, Christian. Hi, welcome back.
Hello, welcome back.
Or maybe not.
Maybe not.
It's all
Oh, no.
good.
It's all
The
good.
other thing that surprised me was that of all of the shadow drops that we got, that Advance Wars was not one of them. That game has been confirmed ready for like 5-6 months.
I think almost a year.
Well,
right?
I know that like some people got copies of the game because it was a big flash thing to not release it due to the war breaking out in Ukraine. But I know that there were stories about people getting it in the wild or like it going live on their Switch and they could just play it. That seems like that would be the perfect thing to just drop.
Yeah.
But it's coming out in April now.
Yeah.
So
April 21, right? So
on the year anniversary of their release date, they're going to release the game.
we'll find out if
That's true.
Maybe.
if they still will. With the way the world is right now, they could delay it again for the same reason they delayed it last year. So
Yeah, which is like I was expecting they would shadow drop it because currently, like as of yesterday, there was nothing major in the news. Like they could have just been like, okay, it's out. People who wanted to buy it, we're gonna buy it anyway. Now you can buy it. We're gonna make whatever money we're gonna make on it, But this is you're risking it again. So
yeah.
no, here's the 3+ year long rumored Metroid remake instead. Like, okay.
Which I mean,
Sure.
I'm not mad at that either. To be fair,
no,
right?
no.
I mean, that's of all the shadow drops they could have done, this is a pretty good one.
Mhm.
The real
Yeah.
question is the next Sony Direct. What are we gonna see?
What are they
what's
gonna
gonna
do?
shadow drop? We got Hi-Fi Rush. We got Metroid Prime.
Sly Cooper remastered. Bring it for
There
the
you go.
people.
Mm-hmm. And it's like in Unreal 5. You can see every little piece of
That's
fur
right.
on them. Just rendered beautifully.
Whatever happened to that TV show we were meant to be getting?
I thought it was a movie.
It was a movie, then it became a TV show.
Okay, I remember seeing they put a teaser. There's like a clip
Yeah.
you can watch.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah,
I was excited for it.
It looked neat. I mean, I was like, wow, this could probably do all right.
Yeah.
Never heard from again.
Yeah.
Let's get a new Parappa the Rapper, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout
Other
out.
games are making their way back.
That's true.
Literally anything from Sony Japan, any of those IP.
You know,
Something.
side order sounds like a song in a Parappa the Rapper game.
It does.
I think that's what's been bothering me.
Maybe.
Okay, so overall, the direct, it's been over. How do we feel about it generally? I know, Christian, usually on socials, you ask people to like rate it.
What did the vote come in at?
I can check. I voted B personally.
Okay, so that's your rank. Stretch, Auden, how are you two feeling about this overall?
I think it's an A.
Not my feeling.
I think what the directs have been doing so good is that I got my two things, or my 2 or 3 things that I really like, but I think that there was 2 or 3 things that everyone would like out of that. The whole thing wasn't for me, and that's okay. But like, I got the ability to play Minish Cap again and a new Tears of the Kingdom trailer.
Oh yeah, we didn't even mention that there's
we didn't even talk about GBA games coming.
Yeah, that's happening.
So the poll, B is leading with 50%, but I'm with Stretch also, where like I was excited for more things out of this direct than recent ones. I'd probably just go B because for me, for Christian Buckley, I get some cool new Nintendo stuff immediately on my subscription that I'm already paying for. I played through some of them last night. I played all of Kirby's Dream Land. That was a fun hour. Game Boy Tetris. I can play Link's Awakening. That's my favorite 2D Zelda. All that stuff at once. Metroid Prime. I've been wanting to play that forever. I played all the 2D ones leading up to Dread. Fell in love with that series, so I'm excited about that. And then Tears of the Kingdom. Didn't show me too much, but I was happy to see it again. So all that stuff entirely speaks to me. I was the most excited I have been coming off a direct for a while, but half those things are old games, and I know that those aren't very like exciting things to show in a presentation. So that's why I go B. But for me, it was like one of the better directs.
B for better than the usual.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, perfect.
Okay. Auden, are you guessing? I'm gonna guess you're thinking it's C.
Well, you were right, sir.
Okay.
I thought it was C.
Okay.
Breath of the Wild. I mean, the new Zelda doesn't get anything from me. It's if this was like our reveal of it, we know it's coming out in a few months. I don't care. Like, it's gonna be in there. It doesn't. If it had not been in there, I wouldn't have given a shit. It wouldn't have mattered anyway. One way or the other to me. Didn't matter. It'd be like watching any presentation. Like, we knew God of War was coming in November, and they put something out in October. It's like, oh boy, I saw some more God of War. It's coming out next month. Like, I don't care.
Right.
That kind of thing doesn't matter. And the stuff like the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color and the Game Boy Advance games should have been done a long time ago. It's cool they're doing it, but it's insane that it's been the Switch is almost 6 years old and it's now just happening. That's wild to me. Nah, they don't get much credit for me on that one.
Fair.
You're such a sourpuss. Enjoy your games.
I don't think you're wrong.
I think enjoy games, but I think it's fair to like realize that they literally have like an insane amount of money in the bank, billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars. They print money, and then I'm supposed to be happy when they do the bare minimum. I don't think so.
Yeah, you're not wrong, but it's definitely way further down the track than it should have been to do.
There's a lot of stuff that's way further down. Yeah, like
because the testing for Game Boy Advance I think leaked like last April or May, so it's been done. They've just been sitting on it. So like, I'm with you. Also, like this, I'm surprised it's this late, but also just the way they're talking about like their whole like ecosystem and plans for NSO. Like, it sounds like this thing is gonna just continue into the next whatever thing happens next. So.
Hopefully, I hope it does, because it sucks that we basically restart the fucking virtual console and all this stuff every fucking gen.
Yeah.
It's such bullshit. All the like tertiary stuff around Nintendo fucking sucks. Their games are great, but everything else blows.
The fact that they're still using friend codes is
so insane.
Blowing.
Yeah. And someone made a good point, like when they say such and such you could play online, it's like you're not going to go like matchmake with somebody, just so you know, with these Nintendo games. It's like you and a friend can play together for most of these. Like,
Yeah. Which, to their credit, I've tried that with the N64 thing,
Yeah.
and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Like, surprisingly well.
I mean, see what the language we have to look. Oh, look, it worked. That means it's a plus for Nintendo. This thing actually fucking worked. Like,
Yeah, like you wouldn't say that for Call of Duty. Like, oh, Call of
No.
Duty came out, hey, it worked. So
they
A
get such
plus.
a pass all the time.
I'm gonna be surprised when Call of Duty does work on the Nintendo Switch.
So will I.
Yeah. And
that
it
one will
works.
actually be worth being like, actually, it works. Like,
Yeah. I don't know. Overall, I think I would lean toward kind of B minus. I think that's where I'm at. You know, it's not wild, it's not crazy. I wouldn't say I'm like more excited for the Switch's future than I was, you know, the day before, where I still knew Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you know, I can't say there's anything here that was like super duper exciting for me. I would have been excited for the Etrian Odyssey stuff if
it wasn't this expensive,
if the prices made more sense, but
it was maybe half the price.
yeah, but we're at like a whole 80. I'm like, I mean, realistically, am I going to play through all of them again? I don't know.
Yeah,
you know. And otherwise, I mean, I know there's fans out there who are super duper excited for Baten Kaitos. I know that's the big thing. But you know, I think that's what a lot of this direct is. It's like a lot of little things for very specific audiences, right? I think it's like what Stretch and Christian were saying, right? Like everybody will like this.
That part's the good part.
Yeah, everybody will like something from this.
But it sucks that most of everything was old shit just coming out again.
Yeah,
that's the thing that sucks.
Like when I think back to Sony's last direct, where like, you know, you said that, yeah, it ended with the God of War thing. But I think even before that, you know, there was like that Ronin game that's coming from Team Ninja, the Way of the Ronin, the something.
Oh, yeah,
Ghost of Tsushima.
The very Sekiro looking game.
Yeah, the one that looks like Ghost of Tsushima,
Ronin?
But Rise of the Ronin. I think that's it. So that was like a nice surprise. And then we saw Ishin. That was a nice surprise. You know, like there was like, it was shorter, but there was more interesting stuff to it that I was like, oh, I'm looking forward to the future of playing that on a PlayStation or whatever. Whereas here with the Switch, I'm looking forward to May 12th. I don't know what I'm looking forward to after that.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
I think that's also just a side effect of us, you know, that we've been expecting the next generation of Nintendo now for so long.
Yeah.
And with all the rumors and the stuff that like Tears of the Kingdom is going to be the last like big thing that's going to be on the Switch. It's like everyone's like, okay, we get it. Like, you know, Tears of the Kingdom is going to be an amazing game, but it's going to be a great, you know, final nail in the coffin for the Switch.
The coffin. That's what we're putting it.
Oh yeah, because it's dying,
I guess.
And then, like, where's the new big thing? Like,
yeah,
we're waiting to see what the
excited
future
to play
is.
Pikmin in the dark in July then?
No. Maybe
You're
I'll
not
pick
gonna
it
go-
up. I don't know, but
I was about to say, sit in your backyard. We don't have one.
yeah.
I don't know.
No, you're right though. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Pikmin will be kind of nice. I guess there are other big, like, I guess, close to tentpole IP.
No,
I mean,
It's going to be a Pokemon thing this year, probably.
But no, the
We'll learn
closest
about in a
of
week.
the direct.
Yeah.
I think it's the closest thing outside of
Well, Splatoon, I'd say, is more than Pikmin, but yeah.
that's
Yeah.
true.
For how fucking ridiculous the announcement was, Splatoon is pretty big.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I think that's a good wrap on our little direct breakdown on the Nintendo Direct. You know, overall, I would say our average puts it at a B. Like we average all four of our our takes and put it at a B. It's just okay. Excited for Breath of the Wild 2. And that's about it. So thank you so much for listening to the TechRaptor podcast. We hope you've enjoyed your time here today. And if you did, please feel free to leave a like, hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Let us know down below, what are you most excited about from the Nintendo Direct? Is it Baten Kaitos 1 or is it Baten Kaitos 2? Let us know which of those you prefer in the comments down below. We always publish news, reviews, and etc. on our site, techraptor.net. But if you want more of this show, we will be back next Monday. We will see you then.